So hi guys, welcome back. Welcome back to our discussion on keeping friendly with your tax man. You remember the last one I said you need to stay friendly or stay on the right side of the tax man. And people were like, what? Like we said, tax is one of the middlemen that control the distribution center of your money. So you cannot avoid it, you cannot evade it. So it's better to be on the right side and even become friendly instead of become friendly with your tax advice or with your tax guide or with your tax code instead of creating panic anxiety for yourself unnecessarily. Understanding your taxes can be something that will help you grow your wealth. That's the point of this discussion. Understanding the tax and the tax code, or how you can, grow your money, your savings, the little things you can keep aside, discipline yourself with, how you can actually grow, use the tax formula. Use the tax formula to grow it. Like I said before, I'm not a tax expert, I'm not a tax professional, I'm not offering tax advice, but we know certain general principles as advisors, to help you and take you around stuff. So that's what I'm, really getting at in this discussion. Because people have been wondering, how can you build wealth in this kind of economy that we find ourselves in this early part of the 21st century? Yes, you can build wealth. You just need to understand a few principles. Like we have been talking about the middleman. The middleman. We talked about the interest rate. Today we are talking about, we are continuing our discussion on the tax that you pay, the tax that you must pay. And I said interest rates and tax are controllable factors. They are within your power to control. So all you need to do is to understand, how it becomes controllable. How can you control it? What's your part to play in controlling it? Also, in the last discussion, I was talking about, the different types of taxes that you pay. Okay, we talked about when you don't even have to pay tax at all, that's zero tax. We talked about tax exempt. Tax exempt status when you're actually donating or giving money away or making foundations and trusts to help other people. Capitalist economies like that, they love that. But the point is, you are not building personal wealth, with that money. You're just helping somebody else, to gain status in the economic setup. So that is tax exempt status. Okay, that's when you actually essentially donate or give money to some cause, to help them achieve their objective. Then we talked about the second option, which is tax now, which many of us are used to, particularly if you are working for somebody, you're in an employment. As you are paid, you pay your income tax. Most of the time, the employer deducts it ahead, before giving you what is left over. So that's tax now. That's income tax as a major example of that. There are other instruments, there are other things that you do and you pay tax. The important thing is when we say tax now, by the end of that tax year, you must have retired your tax to the government. You must have paid your tax to the government. That's what tax now refers to. Then we have tax later or tax deferred. Tax later means you don't actually pay the tax, right away. And then you invest it in an instrument, in a financial instrument. But when you make an attempt to withdraw that money or part of it, or a significant part of it, then you pay your tax. You pay tax on that money. It's pre-tax money, essentially, that you invest in things like 401k, 403b. You invest it. Most of these kind of taxes are, thinking ahead, thinking towards retirement. So essentially, we don't expect you to touch the money until it grows. Until you reach the agreement time, retirement time for you to withdraw that money. So the economy allows you to grow that money, okay, and to pay tax on whatever gains, not your principal now, but whatever gains you make out of that later on. Now, if you now have occasions, I mean, things happen, emergencies occur, you want to withdraw part of that money you've been accumulating since age 25 or since, age 23, you want to withdraw some of it, and you are less than 59 and a half years old in the US, you will pay a penalty. If you are over 59 and a half years old, you just need to pay tax on, what you are withdrawing ahead of time. So that's tax later and tax deferred. The fourth one, which we are moving on to discuss today, in this particular episode, is the tax advantaged investments that help you to grow your money. Tax advantage investments, we call them. So things like your life insurance and college savings are instruments that financial advisors generally encourage you to help you set up the habit of saving or building wealth for yourself. Now, tax advantage situations actually imply that you have paid tax. Like your income tax, you have actually paid tax as the money was coming, was before, let's say it's from your salary. You pay tax, your employer has taken tax out of it, and then you discipline yourself to invest some of that into some, instrument for the future. Like we talked about life insurance, we talked about college savings accounts. Okay, so you pay the tax already. Now, when that money grows, you are not going to pay a second tax, except on the interest, the growth, the excess growth on it. That's when you now pay tax depending on your tax bracket at the time you want to take the money. So if, let's say, you were 25 or you were 45 and this money has grown so wild and so big, at that time your tax bracket was high because you were working and you were making good money, your tax bracket was high. But now when you are older, and you are not working anymore, you're just getting some pensions or some benefits, then it's now, your tax bracket is lower. So, and you're not even paying tax again on the original money, you're just paying it on the interest generated. So that is why we say it's tax advantage. It's a way of accumulating money as well. It's a smart way of accumulating money when the details are worked out. Tax advantage investment is, is wonderful so long as you don't withdraw the money prematurely. Okay, if you touch, just like we talked about tax deferred, if you touch the money before the agreed time, you pay on the interest, on the profits. You don't pay anything on the principal or your basic. The money that you've paid tax on, let's put it that way, the money that you've paid tax on to create that investment, you don't pay any tax on it again. But the gains, the profits that you make on that, during that investment period, it goes this way. So long as you don't cancel the policy, some of those policies, you don't even pay tax on the profits because the profits is accumulating. But if you attempt to touch it, to withdraw out of it, then everything that is interest on that particular investment, you get to pay some tax on it. That's the way that works. So if you don't touch it, it just keeps growing and you just keep accumulating the money. So it's a very common starting point. We encourage new investors, because it takes you a long time. It's for, there are things like I said, life policies, and so you don't need those until you actually retired and you need money to augment whatever you have. Things like health insurance and things like that. So you don't pay double tax, on items like that anymore. So how do you actually, thinking about it, how do you actually, decide what to do? Do I invest in tax now apparatus tax now instruments because I pay the tax, so let's just pay the tax and forget about it? Or do I pay tax later? Which one, will turn out to be better for me? And the answer is based on two real key things, like I hinted at before. One is your tax bracket. Is it likely to change significantly for the better or for the worse? I mean, depending on who is on the side of the better, though, is it likely to? Are you going to be paying more tax when you now want to withdraw your money? Is your tax bracket going to be bigger? For instance, in the US, if you're in the US, for instance, if you're just starting to work and you're single, your income bracket is not likely to be more than 15-25%. But by the time you risen up the ranks, you're earning real big, your income bracket goes up to like 35%. Now, the point is, by the time you are retiring and needing your money, will you be paying 35 or more % on tax? This is what will determine, whether it's a smart idea to go for tax now or tax later. Okay, so if you are going to be paying, if your income tax bracket is going to be less, because you are not working anymore, you are retired by that time, so you have little money coming in. So government is not expecting you to be paying heavily on tax at that point in time. Yes, it's a good idea to invest in tax, to use the tax later or tax deferred, operators to grow your money. The second thing you must think about when you are making that decision of tax now or tax later is the inflation rate. What will have happened to inflation? What will the inflation rate be? Will it be better or will it be lower? Will it be better in the sense that will it be lower? Or will it be worse in the sense that inflation rate will be high? It will affect the value of that money that you have saved. And all of these calculations can be plugged in, on your Google spreadsheet or your Excel, whatever. So, but how will you know the right figures? The smart idea is to ask a financial advisor, to help you, and you can, plug into the database of what we have on record, and to understand how to make the decision of whether to invest in tax now operators or tax later operators. But as you can see on the screen as well, most tax deferred instruments, monetary tools are set up for you towards retirement to help you once you retire, because nobody is paying pensions anymore. You'll be lucky to have companies that pay gratuity now, to ordinary street folks like us, to be able to, get pensions and gratuity. You must be in the C-suite, and above. You must be, so, at that kind of high level. So, and even 401ks are disappearing. That is why we are having this discussion. 401ks is your money, although the company pads it a little bit, and I'm going to encourage everybody that has the opportunity, however little they offer you, don't joke with it, take that money. But that is also tax deferred. All of these are geared towards the time you will retire, so that you have something, to work with and to live by. Thank you. Next time we'll be handling inflation, the biggie, inflation and inflationary rate, so that we can, wrap this up about the middleman and begin to build the money, the investment. Thank you for listening.